Ding ding, round 3. We've done 2 videos already. One on Ansu Fati and how he is a big move, an exciting one. It's not going to play in the position you think he is for Brighton. We've done a video on Amrabat and how he revives the Man United careers of 2 players within their squad. And now we're going to tell you why Brennan Johnson is the answer. Brennan Johnson isn't coming to Tottenham to sit on the bench. And we're going to show you exactly why this signing is so important for Tottenham, and I'm very excited about it. I think he's going to do really well. Now, as I have done in all of these videos, I want to show you his FB Ref scout report because it is, it's a place we go to a lot of the time. And at first glimpse, it ain't pretty. Now, I understand that. And I would think that you guys would go, now, wait a minute, why have we signed this dude? Why have we spent 45 million on this bloke? But you need to understand what Ange sees in him. And there are a few standout metrics that do shine through here. The first being progressive carries. You can see there he's right up there, and the reason for that is that at Forest he was often the guy they'd look to when it came to transitions and driving them up the pitch, which is why his progressive carries are right up there with some of the best out there. But Forest's style of play also has its negatives in terms of taking away from other metrics, which isn't really Brennan Johnson's fault. You've got to see past that. This is a reason as to why his shooting metrics are so low. And we spoke about a similar thing when it came to Amrabat's numbers. There's a massive thing that is missing, and of course you're going to go and watch that video anyway, so I don't need to explain what that is. But back to Forest, and Forest don't create many chances. And so that's why he's got, the bottom 3% when it comes to shots in total. That's not his fault. That said, last season he did score 8 goals from an expected goals of 8.6, which is really healthy. And bearing in mind that 2.4 of his XG was made up of penalties, 3 penalties in fact, and he only scored 1 of those, I think that makes him look even better, although maybe he shouldn't take penalties. So when you look at it deeper, you see that he scored 7 non-penalty goals from 6.2 non-penalty XG. So this shows that from open play, he actually outperformed his XG, which demonstrates he's got the calmness in front of goal and has the finishing ability to play in Tottenham's front line. People don't want to hear this because he's come from Nottingham Forest and people turn their nose up at stuff like that. But this guy can finish fantastically well. He always has, he always will. So why has he gone there? Ange Postecoglou said that replacing Harry Kane like for like is impossible, which is true. And what also came out recently is that he's not a last-minute target, but he's actually been on Ange's radar for a long time, which is believable considering how he'd slot into the system. But more on that in just a second. The reason Ange likes him so much is that he's such a malleable forward in terms of being able to play across the front line. This offers them so much flexibility in terms of being able to use Kulusevski or allowing him to be an understudy for Kulusevski, being able to rotate with Son as a striker, or starting Brennan Johnson as the 9 himself. We forget that he actually wears the number 9 for Wales and plays there frequently. Let's get on to the details of the deal, and here you go. Fabrizio. The deal looks like it's £40 million guaranteed with $5 million in add-ons, with Johnson also having a contract until 2028, which means his contract will run out when he's 27, which is interesting, I think, to know. But there will also be an option for an extra year, making it a 6-year deal, potentially. There have been some questions asked over the fee for Johnson, but you have to consider the value that he has provided for Forest in terms of being one of their own and being a Nottingham boy and it being full profit, as we've spoken about so much on the transfer window this year. That is total profit for a young player who has, I think, a high ceiling. So they thought he was worth a lot, and I think 45 million isn't a terrible deal at all. And this means the fee is always going to be a slightly bit higher than people expected, but as I say, homegrown player, which is always useful and is something that also factors into costs. So how will he fit in? Well, he offers a lot in so many different ways. Let me show you how he could fit in and how it could affect a couple of different players. So Johnson, obviously, we've got down here at the moment, and he can play on this right-hand side. That's what people will expect him to sort of come in and do. And as an understudy for Kulusevski, who is fantastic, that's absolutely fine. He's done a great job for Nottingham Forest in that counter-attacking sense. His ability to drive and sort of hurt teams in these spaces has been really impressive over a couple of seasons now. But there's a lot that people don't know about him and from his time for Wales, but also his time in the Championship with Nottingham Forest as well. And there's two players here that I think are important, and often a transfer does affect other players, right? So Heung-Min Son and Richarlison. Richarlison really, really struggling. We talk about profiles and someone coming in for Harry Kane and what he provides. You think that Richarlison does a lot when it comes to Ange Ball and how he wants to play. But he's struggling, isn't he? And sometimes you need to be able to take someone out of the firing line. And Richarlison is just not doing it right now. So I think you have to keep that in mind. And Brennan Johnson, let me take off Porro. Brennan Johnson could do that. There's absolutely no reason why he couldn't do that. And actually, importantly, in terms of his development as someone who can play along that front line, him getting 20 minutes here and there, I think could be really, really useful. And I'm going to show you a screenshot in just a second that shows that he could be really good as a 9, actually, in particular, because I think it's goals that he wants. He does want goals. But actually, Heung-Min Son, I think, is a really important player here. Now, Heung-Min Son, his success rate in terms of taking on players has gone down from 50% generally to 39% last season. And there's this feeling now that he's not got that same zip or ability to beat a man like he has done previously. And with Richarlison struggling as well, there could be a move here. So Johnson, can he play as a 9? Yes. Johnson, can he play as that player that plays on the right-hand side and is an understudy for Kulusevski? Yes, absolutely. But Johnson as well, and if you think of Gareth Bale, if we want to make those comparisons, and I'm not comparing them, I'm just comparing the style of it, and of course it being Tottenham and them both being Welsh, but Gareth Bale playing on that right-hand side and cutting onto his left foot was something that he was really, really good at. And Johnson, again, in time, or even now, could be exactly that kind of player as well. And that would allow Heung-Min Son to maybe come into that 9 position and Richarlison to come out. Johnson offers a hell of a lot. You know, as that right-sided player who can play on the right side, that's actually quite rare. But that ability to be willing to make those inverted runs could be really, really deadly for the team as well. And with Udogie and his attacking abilities as well, that again just allows for more movement. And importantly, I think, lateral movement between this front line, which I think we're seeing absolutely everywhere else. But the important thing, I think, to add is that he will provide that finishing ability that it feels like Richarlison hasn't got right now, and also free up someone like Heung-Min Son to play in that central area where I think he could thrive. And because we know he has that ability to score goals and take chances when he's on one-on-one with the goalkeeper. He's got that finesse. The final thing I want to show you is that screenshot that we were talking about. And this just shows the body language. And often with these screenshots, that's something that we want to highlight, is the body language, because it can really say a lot. Now, Johnson scores from this, and he's on the right-hand side here. And the goal actually that he gets comes from a rebound off the goalie. But the important thing is the body language here. He has that sort of striker's mentality. He's always on the front foot. He's always looking to sort of be able to get in behind as well. And if you think about how Tottenham are going to play this season, and we've shown it on the channel numerous times already, they get bodies in the box. I'm doing it on the wrong one here, aren't they? Think about Heung-Min Son will be in the box. Maddison making those entries. Basuma's dealing with everything. Sarr scored that goal against Manchester United. Kulusevski happy to get involved as well. To be honest, it gets to a point where, you know, you've got Udogie looking to help out. You've got the 2 centre-backs. And even Porro's up there as well, depending on what side of the ball. So with all of that in mind, there are goals to be had just by being proactive and having that kind of Kane-ness that feels like it's missing a little bit in this Tottenham side. I think overall, the system has replaced Harry Kane here. But having a player like Brennan Johnson gives you that little sprinkling of someone who is a sniffer. He's got that Kane sniffer sense. Of course, he's not Harry Kane. He's not going to get those numbers. He's not Gareth Bale. He's not going to get those numbers, I don't think. But he is far better than people are giving him credit for.